is MCOY. We'll see whether Movistar Koi, the first seed from the LEC, can join G2 in the semi-finals. That would be absolutely insane. Imagine that bounce back from the LEC, a disappointing MSI, and then making it all the way to the top 4 for both of their representatives. Here at EWC, that would be insane. But tough competition in T1, and that would also mean that we'd lose 2 LCK teams.
That's right.
Before the semis.
I was going to mention that. We already lost Hanwha Life Esports yesterday. There is a world where we could have no LCK representatives in top 4 after today's matches. That's not the expectation, but it is a possibility. It keeps all LCK fans a little bit on edge. Faker going for lethal tempo in this draft here, so we'll have a lot of late game damage. And, you know, that sustained damage on top of the fact that they have the Rumble equalizer set up and the poke from Guma on neutral objectives does feel like it's very well-rounded. For the side of MCOY, they have a decent amount of damage as well, but it's really just about getting those single target picks that'll allow them to clean up fights so easily. It's not that they can't win a front-to-back team fight, but that's not really the MO. You just want to delete one of these carries instantly, and then the fight just becomes so much simpler after that for Supa to play out.
Yep. And so Minion's going to be crashing in all of these lanes momentarily, already here in the mid lane, of course. And let's see what Jojo can actually make happen, as we'll see whether the aggression is going to be starting immediately here on this bottom side, as Keria and Guma should be able to get a lot of control with the double-ranged nature of this combo. And you can see already getting the damage down. Guma actually just walking towards Supa and Alvaro. And
nice tempo heal there, will be traded, but I mean, Ezreal is actually quite scary at level 1. He starts stacking up his passive, you start hitting those Qs even on the minions, and you're like, you just can't compete with me with that poke coming through from the Nico. This is what we were talking about with that Nautilus pick. It's just so challenging to play this out early. The Aftershock isn't going to do anything for you against those early level 1 abilities, so you're just going to eat the damage. You're going to have to heal in return.
Faker also taking a fair bit of damage here. As you can see, Jojo does take a turret shot, but he's not going to be too worried about it. Faker going home pretty quickly here, but nothing really to worry about. Only 1 CS behind, and the rest of the map is looking pretty good. There's the hook in, but I don't know whether he really wanted that, as there is the Aftershock wearing off. The flash forward from Keria, not quite enough as Super is standing his ground. I don't know whether he really wants to, and I think that MCOY are going to take a little bit of a break here towards this bottom side.
Sometimes you pick Aftershock and you're like, I got to get value out of it, man. I got to make sure it happens.
Yeah, well, he did get value.
Yeah, that was an extremely risky choice there that will cost him his flash. Keria does flash, of course, a return to try to secure that one, but a very big trade up here for the side of T1, and they may even be able to get some decent spawns here if they can land some poke onto Supa now. So not really the exchange they were looking for, as Guma starts to stack up a significant CS advantage, and we'll be able to take the free back now.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. You can see elsewhere on the map, though, it's MCOY that's able to answer. Moen here towards the top side especially is really putting Doran down. We know this is a difficult matchup for the Rumble, but good to see that he is playing it to what we expect. As Ona moving over a bit of a 2v2 here, but Faker is still very, very low, has just teleported in as well. So not necessarily having the greatest of times here in this laning phase thus far. Jojo having a good time. As Doran is a minion moving towards this Scuttle Crab, and Faker taken down to 100 out.
One more of those unraveled hits Faker, and Jojo could have maybe looked to flash for the kill there. Very close, but like you said, already pushing his teleport away, forcing a back here, having both Alvaro and Elyoya coming over to kind of assist with this push. And you can see some of the best in the West. You know, we saw this from Caps yesterday as well, into Knight. You can push those small advantages, force an early teleport, then snowball that lane. It gives you so much map control. Look at how much control MCOY have now over the top side of the map to match this lane swap. See the TP back into the bottom lane to match Doran there for Merwin. Small moves like this can add up for sure. As you can see, a 10 CS advantage here now for Jojo Pyung.
Yep, about a 200 gold lead is what has resulted from this one for MCOY. But we haven't seen any of these early skirmishes just yet, and we know this is all about hitting level 6, finding some of these team fights for T1. There's a lot of AoE, and there is a lot of consistent damage here for this composition. They work on 2 items very, very effectively. But we'll just have to see, because we did have pretty high hopes for how the laning phase was going to look. But I think Moen doing fantastically there in the top side matchup. And the lane swaps that are able to come in do manage to get Super and Alvaro into a better position.
It's a little bit awkward here for this first Dragon, as Faker is fairly low here in the mid lane, just trying to shove this wave out with his recurve bow, but is unable to do so. And I feel like this is going to force Owner to get some sort of successful gank off here. Otherwise, the Dragon may simply just go, as Doran is also backing right now. Not that they could take it immediately here, but it's full control as Guma.
X-Flash. Arcane Shift, able to get himself out of there as Faker dealing with some rocks here that are on the ground as Carrier looking for an opportunity, finds the snare, and that is first blood to the Nico.
Such a razor-thin margin to pull this off. Carrier goes for the heal to get basically the point-blank snare there onto Jojopion and take him out despite the flash attempt. Down he goes. And this was that gank I was talking about from Owner, where things are looking really dire here. You lost control of this mid lane. Owner needs to make something happen. Barely gets that stun. Tons of damage with Faker at basically 1% health here. Coming out. Carrier gets the heal here. Is able to get the snare. Jojopion goes down despite the flash. And it's so frustrating when you've spent so long getting these massive advantages in mid lane. You've really pushed the envelope there, and you barely get caught. Yep. And now all those leads you had are washed away.
He did manage to get 2 flashes out of it. Of course, Carrier and Owner both, it was flash and heal. So 2 summoner spells.
Sure.
In the trade for just his flash. But still, first blood going over to T1, and it is still a very good news story, especially for Faker, who was starting to fall pretty far behind. As you can see, Super going in with a little bit of a Valkyrie forward. Emperor's Divide here from Faker as Elyoya just pushing him back. Faker has spent this whole game on very low health, but that is not dead, and that is absolutely fine, as Doran and Moen striking one another once again here towards the bottom side, but no kills going to come of it. A lot of buttons being pressed and not a lot of results happening. Wolf?
Yeah, not quite at this moment in time, but a lot of pressure here on the top side of the map. There's a minute before Grubs. Guma got a barrier.
Yeah, barrier coming on through. Super returning the favor. As Doran has been in this brush, it feels like, for a while. As he flashes forward, just looks for the solo kill, needs another harpoon. Just one more, and Merwin will go down. He silences himself, but he's not silenced after that, and that is a solo kill here for the Rumble.
Doran has had such a great start to the year here, and it continues in this game. Was down a little bit on CS, but will win the 1v1. I like the pressure that Supa is putting up here onto Guma, because Faker once again was forced to back in the mid lane, so Carrier was showing mid, and so he's putting that pressure on at the same time, as the flash here is not enough. Doran follows, gets the flamethrower, and Owner a bit overextended.
I actually thought that there might be another turret shot coming for him there, and that would have been a dead Owner, but he is able to get out just in time. Kumiushi finding the true shot barrage. Is now Faker in trouble yet again. Keeper's Verdict does get the flash out, and Faker does go down. Elyoya brings the hammer down and takes out the GOAT. So I think it's going to be 1 back for MCOY.
You know, I said earlier I wasn't worried about Faker in this matchup, but Jojo is just smashing him as Guma's in trouble again.
In shift, the flash after him there, but not quite enough to get the kill. As Alvaro having to deal with Carrier now, who doesn't quite have enough damage in these autos. Super going to push him away, and T1 will remain alive at least for now.
MCOY are using Jojo's leads in the mid lane to get advantages everywhere else, but specifically in the top lane, as Owner is constantly having to camp and babysit Faker here in the mid lane. That means Grubs goes over. They end up nearly getting that kill in the top side there. It's not quite enough damage to secure it, but they just have so much pressure on the fact that Jojo is winning this lane so hard. Despite the fact that he was ganked and killed earlier, he continues to put that pressure on, and this is really hurting T1's early game now. Gold is still in their favor, but you can see the edges that MCOY are able to pick up just from that mid matchup alone. Alvaro, though,
this is not exactly where he wants to be, and can't even get the aftershock to do anything, and so he is just going to melt. This should be that T1 can now turn that into a dragon and really start to assert their dominance as Faker looks for an angle. Don't know whether he really wanted to, but that was it was kind of fun, kind of exciting.
We'll just try to keep Jojo away. Jojo didn't even have ult, though, to try to come over here and contest for this dragon. And with the death on Alvaro there, I just don't think it was ever really going to be one. So now T1 picking up that very strong first Infernal Drake worth of stats. Merwin doesn't have flash, but I don't think with the Owner being on this ward, there's really a play-making opportunity here, as we'll go back to what happened moments before.
This was the first kill for MCOY.
Yeah.
Elyoya just gets in there.
Yep, just Elyoya catching Faker. And I mean, Faker's had a bit of a tough start in this one. You know, frankly, despite the cool gank we saw from Owner, just so much pressure onto Faker has kept T1 on the top side a little bit muted. It's a lead for Guma right now, as you can see, of just 200 gold, but the 3 grubs will be relevant later on.
Certainly will. And of course, it is a tough matchup for Faker there in the mid lane, but we have seen it handled better in the past by other players. So certainly, shout-outs go to Jojo playing this one very, very well. And like you say, they've been playing around that advantage that he's picked up. And even, like, I do feel like as we get further into this, the fact that Doran gets that solo kill in this lane that we're seeing right now is going to be very, very important, because if that was continuing to go downhill for T1, they wouldn't have a lot of positives on the map. It's Faker managing to get the sidestep there in the mid lane. That's working out a whole lot better. As look at this, the Flame Spitter really doing work here from Doran in this bottom lane.
Yeah, with the builds that we're seeing here too for the side of MCOY, it's a little bit safer for Jojo rather than going for a really big damage build. He is going for Seraphs in this game, and that may hurt this mid game for them. Faker doesn't have any grubs for side lane with the fast Nashor's Tooth he's going for here as well, so that isn't necessarily what he is looking for. Is once again, be super careful going to these choke points with double control ward vision here for T1. Trying to force anything against a Pantheon could be very problematic, but they want to try to make sure Merwin can get this back off here.
Well, he is going to be able to make it underneath his turret. That should keep them alive. His owner is spotted, but Alvaro also in an uncomfortable position. Doran also might need to try and get out of here. Didn't have the flash, so he has no hope of making that happen. Still, this Nautilus is in trouble. The Pop Blossom only finding one, but Jojo just melts. Owner destroys him by accident as he's killing the Nautilus. Merwin might suffer the same fate. Decent sidestep there on the queue. But actually, he's going to survive. Merwin pretty good at dabbing so far this tournament.
Yeah.
He's going to do it again.
He certainly is quite good at it. He's showing his aura time after time, as that seems to be the word of the tournament. But the guy does get out of there. The start of things were a little bit rough for T1. Doran going in there like that, knowing where everyone was. Like, they had full vision, they had full information. It was a little bit bizarre. He ends up dying. Does a ton of damage, though, before he goes down. And that's when things get a little bit iffy here. And going into the Pop Blossom, Jojo here off the wall. Not really what I think he was looking for. A bit optimistic on that one. At least Merwin does survive here as he gets the sidestep on this Q, and then the follow-up one as well. And that's massive. Owner's not too happy about it, of course, but at the end of the day, it's still a big win in the fight for T1.
It was. I feel like Owner's look just there, as you can see, did the most damage in the fight, but he was also just like, hey man, he sidestepped everything. And let's give it to him. As MCOY looking for a little bit of an angle. They think that they may have found Owner yet again. Sorry, Doran yet again, but Owner is there. Alvaro a little bit too far away. And T1, we're looking for that rotation over. Not actually necessary, as everyone is going to back away.
Doran got that really cool solo kill earlier, but is probably going to have to play around the lack of information he has a little bit better here, or he's not going to be having a good time, because that lead is gone now. He is, in fact, behind Merwin at this point in time. Jojo's going to get a free plate here on the top side of the map. Those grubs really helping to take these turrets down quickly. I mean, you can just see any additional time given over to even a Talia at this stage of the game with no first completed item. Just going to get damage done. It's going to give you some free gold, going to give you that side lane pressure. And T1 also going to lose a plate here in the mid lane. And just like that, we see MCOY catching up in gold here.
And it was starting to sneak up to, one of the more larger gold advantages that we've seen in the earlier stages of the game. But like you say, keeping it to about 1,000 and at 14 minutes as these plates are about to fall, that is not the biggest deal. The MCOY fans, as you can see there, not feeling too worried about this just yet.
It's 150 gold, the difference between the 80 carries who are both looking for the exact same 2-item power spike, right? So that's not a big deal. Doran losing his flash, though, that's a pretty big one. And then you have a lot of kills on the Pantheon as Faker.
Speaking of losing stuff, Faker is just going to have to use his ultimate, but doesn't have to use the flash, so he'll be able to hold on to that one. As Doran finding an angle once again, but Equalizer goes down. Great seismic shove from Jojo to make sure he keeps the space. So Doran not going to be able to sink his teeth in as Dragon number number 2 coming on through here for T1. Are we going to get Earth, Wind, and Fire to start this off for T1 yet again? I feel like they do it all the time.
Well, they end up getting the double lead. It's going to be Hextech even better.
Yeah.
And Merwin, you know, he's not able to join that fight there. They almost got Faker, but he's able to disengage away. They had full control over the bottom side there. Doran winning that fight, now having TP coming online here feels pretty huge for him, as Jojo was unable to join the fight. We'll just TP back to the top side, and T1 winning on the map here. Feeling pretty good about that. Some of these leads, though, you know, for T1 are, I think, smaller than they may appear. Like when you look at a 1,000 gold lead, is Jojo stunned up the wall.
Yeah, not going to be riding that one towards his turret, and just one more auto is going to be required. Ono misses another Q, but he's in melee range, so it's going to be absolutely fine. Elioya a little bit late to this one.
I mean, that's a free Herald.
Yeah, and that's also going to be feats of strength as well. So T1 taking everything that they want from this map right now.
I mean, I was going to make the point that Owner having 3 kills, now 4, wasn't necessarily a huge boon for T1, but if you're able to turn that lead into a solo kill on the mid laner and to an objective, then yeah, I guess, you know, you're feeling pretty good about what you're using your gold for so far in this game, and he will just straight up catch Jojo Pion unawares, get him off the wall there. Now they've got some extra damage on this turret. Faker gonna sink his Gnasher's teeth right into it, and it's a ton of damage. Now this lead is starting to balloon, right? It doubled from 1,000 to 2,000 off that play alone. They will have the Herald, which they could even wait and use for the mid turret as that third dragon spawns to give them Hextech soul point. And T1 are really starting to pull ahead in this one.
Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. They've got all of the feats of strength, everything about it ever. It doesn't actually say at the top of the screen because they already had them, but they take the first turret as well. So running the map at this point in time is T1. And so we'll see Skirmishes here in this mid lane just trying to make sure that Super can't get any more damage onto this outer turret. That would certainly be phenomenal here for MCOY if they wanted to try and get some control back themselves. Carrier looking for an opportunity. They know that that one is him because, of course, the real Azir is on the top side of the map. Jojo did just spot Faker out. As Doran now moving over. Hexgate's on the map as well, giving Carrier all of this ability to utilize some funny business, and he does really like to do so.
Merwin cleared this wave, but still apprehensive about hanging around this turret. It's gonna look for oh man, double root.
There's the double snare. It is just Carrier, so he doesn't have a whole lot of follow-up damage, but there's a true shot barrage. That's gonna connect, and Alvaro now has to go.
They can go for this. They have the Hextech gate. Remember, Owner does not have his ultimate here, but if Carrier finds him in that brush, he's potentially dead.
He's got some weirding. It's okay. Goes stealth for a few moments.
That's the turret. You know, you just kind of hang around here, put that pressure on, clear the waves, use the Hextech gate, and just push him off the map. And look at the cross map. Jojo isn't even really hitting the midway point. He's just now pushing through. Wants to be able to get that turret in exchange there on the top side of the map. But T1 have TP for Doran. He can come over there and deny it. There's just no way that Jojo Pyong can pick that one up. But T1 are winning on both sides of the map yet again. 2 minutes until that Hextech Drake does spawn. The gold lead is getting bigger and bigger here. This Poppy priority, I didn't dislike it, but I feel like T1 have a draft that just don't really care about the steadfast presence, and this Pantheon priority that they got, which was left open, has been the whole story here. 5 out of 6 of T1's kills, and Owner is everywhere, man.
Yeah. Owner is like the whole team right now, as Carrier making pigeon noises again. I love it. We can have 3 pigeons on the map at any one time as he pulls out the clone. True Shot Barrage spots out exactly where Elioya is. And now Rift Herald thrown into this mid lane, and we'll see whether T1 can crack this turret. That would be so much control of the map. It would actually be ridiculously bad for MCOY. As Doran over to the side, he finds an equalizer here and has started off the fight, breaks the arm guard to make sure he doesn't get flicked back at Super, having to flash himself out of the way. Elioya doing exactly the same thing, but Owner is flashing on top of him. Jojo, no mana and no hope to get out of this one, but does hit a very nice shove with the last remaining bit of blue stuff to keep himself alive, and Alvaro not going to be as lucky, so that is all they're able to pick up. We mentioned how valuable this outer turret is in mid.
Yeah.
That is also going to fall.
It's Supa's also dead, I think. Well,
here?
Yeah, he's dead.
He's real dead.
Also, the inner is going to go down in mid.
Oh, okay. Wasn't quite expecting that, as Empress Divide is going to be avoided. That was pretty nicely done from Elioya, as Merwin just going to get cut down. And the main carry, I mean, they took down the GOAT. That's great. But it's Owner that's really doing all the work this game.
Yeah, Owner actually should be able to get out of here, no problem as well. And man, it was really close until it wasn't, Alice.
Yeah.
there's so many things that went wrong here in the mid game for MCOY. But for example, that pick onto Doran they looked for, T1 has always been so famed as, speaking of, you may get interrupted here, you will.
Yeah. Oh, really? It wasn't caught window shopping at all.
But like
himself a hex gate to get out.
T1 are so famous, or it's usually Faker, but it has been Zeus in the past, now it's Doran, of making a target look vulnerable, then utilizing globals to just turn fights on. Oh no, maybe Doran could be caught. Oh no, actually we just crushed the fight. You thought you could get him, you use a lot of tools to catch him. Owner shows up, we turn the fight, we crush you, we get everything we want. And speaking of everything, there's no way MCOY can come up here and realistically look for a contest on this Dragon, but they have to, right? Because they can't give over Soul Point for free, but they're just so far behind, they have no vision, it's completely dark. Best of luck, MCOY, in this one. I just don't see it.
They're just not going to fight for it. I think fighting for the Otacon is going to be pretty important, though. That is going to give T1 so much extra power on top of the fact that they have Soul Point. I mean, they just can't keep getting away with everything, right? Like, if you give everything, your Nexus is on the list at some point, right? And then you give that away and you lose. So MCOY are going to have to try and contest something, but it's not going to be this Otacon. It's not going to be the Soul Point. And it's maybe the next Baron? Maybe it's their base turrets? I don't know. Pop Blossom only going to connect onto one, though, as Carrier kind of going rogue in this one. Moen throws down the ulti as Ona gets into that backline, not quite able to get over that wall. And now another angle from Carrier is going to get found. Oh my goodness, he actually does a fair bit of damage. Shot barrage to finish off Jojo is beautiful by Gumayushi. I don't even know whether that should have worked, but they're so far ahead that it absolutely did.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Carrier just keeps hitting these roots. He's been hitting them all game long.
It's like the Pop Blossom didn't quite
work,
but he still has an E.
Yeah, it's like the Pop Blossom doesn't matter, but he just keeps doing a lot of poke damage and getting roots. And it's like, well, I guess that's good enough, as Faker is actually on the cusp of potentially getting a solo kill here, but isn't going to risk it, as Merwan does have his flash available, so could flash the wall and perhaps take him out. But I mean, look at where we are now. You know, the Otacon, 38 to 6 petals. Like, it usually doesn't get to be that big. But yeah, I mean, the Pop Blossom isn't amazing, but Carrier flashes the wall here. And then at this point, like, how do you fight this? The Equalizer catches Alvaro. Merwan's out of the fight, so he can't help heal. And Carrier's just like, I'm on the edge here. I'm playing through this control ward. Gets the root. Jojo's pushed out. Supa cannot get close enough to actually finish off these low health targets, or he'll just get exploded on. And Guma is able to follow up so easily here. True shot barrage angle, fantastic. And he's not done there. He's like, I'm looking for more. I want to go forward here. He does think better of it, of course, does not go across the line, but...
Yeah, 2-0 though in the end there for T1, and they managed to get Otacon, they managed to get the Soul Point. 3 minutes on Hex Tech Soul, ladies and gentlemen, and now Merwan trying to deal with this push from T1, and oh god, the Equalizer just takes 50% of both of the carries' health bars as Faker has found Alvaro, and yeah, Aftershock is not going to help you there. As Ona gets flicked back, but it just looks like it does nothing but tickle this Pantheon. And MCOY really running out of options here in this game. Maybe the focus is going to be on what are we going to do to make sure this doesn't happen in Game 2. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Fearless Draft. It's not going to happen like this again, as Pop Blossom Super, and Ona, he finds the Q this time. He's also going to Starfall on top of Elyoya, so they're looking for even more than this. Merwan is even further away from his base, but does manage to lay down the ulti, and that is the shutdown onto Ona. Maybe T1 have pushed a little far forward, as also Carrier will be falling. Faker's there, not going to be too weird.
I mean, they're going to get two
taking the inner turret in the top lane. Doran doing the same thing bottom lane. Maybe 3 versus 5 wasn't the move.
It might not have been the move, but getting 3 turrets feels pretty good in exchange. As Carrier, man, once again, look at this. Gets him on the edge, gets the follow-up route and the Q. Carrier plus Owner's poke coming through as well. I'd love to see it. We saw it a moment ago, but I wasn't really looking at it. I'd love to see Carrier's damage this game because it's probably insanely high. Saw Merwan was actually competing with Guma. He's done a lot of work in this game, but it just has not been enough to secure the eliminations required, as Guma barely avoids that dredge line. Could have been worse there had he been taken out. But like I said, Faker gets that inner on the top side. Doran gets the inner bottom side. 2 more exposed inhibitor turrets. The inhibitor in mid itself is exposed. and we're 70 seconds away from T1 getting their 4th Drake of the game, the Hextech Soul, which is probably, you know, there's very few champions that can get value out of that more than Ezreal. And,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Azir. Oh, God.
Karia's damage is higher than Supa's in this game by 2,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's also higher than Faker's, so we're not gonna give.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just I guess Keria on the Nico things.
You know, Faker's are mostly PvEing in this game, to be fair, but Keria, man, he's all PvP since the laning phase.
He only does the PvP. He doesn't even know what the PvE content is. Like that's the kind of player.
He's a support player. He doesn't kill minions ever.
Nope. Trishra Barrage doing a fair bit of work here as Alvaro. He hasn't even started anything yet, and he's below half health. As MCOY, they know that Baron is on the menu. They are looking to try and stop T1 from taking it. One last team fight might be the desperate option here for the LEC representatives. As Elioya looking for an opportunity. Alvaro also there. But like the 1-3-1 is continuing, and T1 are still getting the push, even though they have way less people here in this mid lane. Faker moving over, and Hextech Soul just a little bit too inviting.
Like I said, man,
give up position on the Baron.
Faker's been PvEing this game, and one of the big E's to get is that Hextech Soul. He's just going to come over here with his jungler, as T1 otherwise just 3-manning here in mid. Keria looking for more.
Okay, well, Ona can turn up at a moment's notice, but Faker is going to take a little while longer. Never mind, he's teleporting in. Alvaro flashes out the Pop Blossom onto everyone in that red pit. And down goes Jojo. Super's just getting out of there, able to use those Hex Gates, and now the rest of MCOY is scattering to the wind. Gumayusi dashing over, and look at that. The beautiful Hextech Soul, ladies and gentlemen. There is no way you can get away from T1. And it's a 10,000 gold lead. It's only a matter of time, as Ona not going to quite be able to execute Super on this one.
Keria.
Yeah, Keria just being weird. Does get a solo kill in the end. As Ona just flashed for that, and Keria said, no, man.
There was just no respect shown for the fact that Keria had flashed Pop Blossom. Like, the whole time he was just in range. Like, he practically didn't even need to flash for a few of the angles he had, and then they went in, and he's like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah, I guess I kill you all.
It's been mostly about my snares today, but I guess I will find the big Pop Blossom angle in this one, as they get the Dragon for free, as T1 win the numbers disadvantage fight there on the top side. As the MCOY fans aren't going to give up, but I think really they're cheering for what the draft might look like in Game 2 at this point, with an 11,000 gold lead here. Hextech Soul play. Like, look at Keria. He is here. He has Flash. He has Pop Blossom. The Weaver's Wall's coming down. Like, Keria's like, well, I guess if you guys want to stack up right here, I'll give it to you.
Yep, and everyone gets over the wall, and so Keria's like, well, I have Flash, so you're all dead. True Shot Barrage here going to get so much value there from Gumayusi, as maybe it's just a triple. It is not, as Ona is going to be able to secure that last one onto Elioya. But now it is what feels like a victory march here for T1, as they notice they've taken down the inhibitor in mid. That's all they're going to need to win this game, as Empress Divide from Faker will pick up Super one more time, as Moon is dabbing in between all of T1. And T1 looking pretty serious about defending their title here at EWC, as they will be able to take down their first Nexus of 2025.
T1 looking back saying, please, minions, let's get over here and get it done.
Double super minion wave. That's kind of cool. I thought you needed to take all the inhibitors before that one happens.
Down it goes.
When you've got a Nico, as down goes the Nexus. T1 will be able to win Game 1 of this best of 3.
Let's not forget, this game started out with a bit of a mid-gap. You know, JoJo had a lot of an advantage there, and I do think that...
Game number 2, T1 could just book themselves a ticket to the semifinal right now, or MCOY could be trying to make them work for it.
JoJo opting for this Galio to be able to match the rotations of the Ryze is so good with the Gwen, but it also means he won't be able to have that lane dominant performance we saw in Game 1, where he's able to win trades against Faker, get his TP back, force Guma and Keria to come babysit. He's going to be actually the one who's sitting on the back foot in this second game. So a bit of a different identity, but I like what it means for 5v5s, as Ona's going to duel early.
Yeah, Doran is trying to chase after here, but Ona has 3 people to deal with as the Winds of War come down, and that is going to actually spell the end of this little scuffle. As Ona playing the the policeman trundle, just not really a huge fan. You know, like the traffic cone's cool and all, but like there are so many good skins for trundle. We were having this discussion last night at the bus.
I like the cones though.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm okay with it.
I guess like for the cone fans, you know, traffic cone people.
I'll be honest with you, Atlas. We've only been seeing that one Trundle skin where he's got like the really shiny mace for a really long time.
You mean the Cuz one?
Yeah. Like I feel like we've seen that one only for so long that I'm just happy to see any sort of Trundle skin diversity.
Yeah, it's either that or traditional Trundle, but you can't have a problem with traditional Trundle. That one's too good.
So let's take a look at how these matchups are going to eventuate. Guma, Keria just going straight to the bottom lane here, looking for a level 1 advantage into this Alistar, which I think is wise. Fortunately for Keria, that's not quite going to land the way he was looking for, though.
Yep, bit of a crash down there, but Gumiushi just trying to pick up this first wave of minions, and they do have a bit of control of this wave. Remember, this is not going to be a lot of early pressure here for T1. Of course, the Alistar pretty good into the rel just in general as well. Being able to headbutt her out of the crash down is normally pretty good, but that's not what Alvaro's focusing on. He's wanting to make sure he separates the two members of T1 so that they can get some decent damage down and Super stays safe.
Yeah, Super's positioning really good there, utilizing his range quite well. Had he been hit by that crash down, the passive was already stacking onto him, so it's really important he does not get hit here. Owner going to start Raptors, likely on vision there at the beginning, as both junglers know they're doing their Raptor camp. So all vision over is Alvaro.
Yep, headbutt pulp does come on down there as Alvaro in a little bit of trouble here, down to about 300, but still able to offer a lot back. And Jojo could actually just die here. The flash out of the way, one more auto will do it. And yeah, he flashed out of the way of the Q, but then he was really dead. Here on the top side of the map as well, Owner is moving in. He still has the traffic cone. He can still tell Merwin that that's not where he's allowed to drive. And it's a bit of an ignite from the grave. The last tick not going to be enough to do it, though. And T1 with two swift ones.
Yeah, so nearly enough, but Doran, or sorry, not Doran, Owner, excuse me, has that potion. And we'll be able to tick through it just barely there, as you see a sad MCOY fan here in Riyadh. As Doran's looking for the trade immediately because he obviously has teleport advantage, so takes a fourth of Merwin's health, and he's like, cool, catch that wave, and I'll see you in just a second. Those are the types of trades you want to see. I want to see what happened in the beginning of this trade here as Faker has lane control, gets taunted, and Jojo goes for the extra empowered auto. And that's just what does him in. Flash angle here is nice, but he's just doomed. Like, there's no way he can buy space against this ranged champ. Is trying to min-max the damage there, and Faker's just like, well, it's my turn to crush the lane.
Oh, God. Speaking of my turn, Owner is going to come down and join. As Gumiushi's in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down first. The Super gets excited, and the traffic cone is after the flash. And so the Jinx is going to stay alive on the board and exactly where the money wants to be here for MCOY.
Yeah, you got a supercharger, but I got my supercharge, which is the Ghost, so I'm going to walk out of that pillar. And, well, that's a kill for the Jinx early. What looked like it was going to be a great start for T1. Now a disaster. Keria!
Yeah, what are we doing?
Doesn't have Ignite.
He needs a Shattering Strike. Does he get it? One more auto, and down he goes. So that's a bit of a solo kill for Keria. That's a bit of a cute one. Probably not worth it, but does still send him home.
I mean, I think kind of worth, because otherwise Jinx could just take these minions here, and now Guma back in lane. It's actually going to be pretty huge. Otherwise, you know, Super gets to walk away there, and Merwin?
Doran still has the teleport, guys. As Merwin one more auto attack, and he's dead. He was not immune in this top lane, and Doran, oh God, this could really be an Ambessa problem this game.
I mean, like I mentioned in the draft, it's not a matchup that always works well for the Ambessa, but it's volatile enough to where if you outplay, you can get a huge edge. And that was Doran on Doran's shield only. Hadn't backed, hadn't TP'd as you said, had no items there. Playing into the Dark Seal, still wins it out. Still on low health, is able to sustain up. Now he's going to head back to lane with Caulfield's and a refillable as there's an engage.
Yep, Keria coming down towards the bottom side. Pops the passive there. Does Gumiushi to do a fair bit of damage here to Super. But T1 not going to be able to get the kill. No summoner spells on this Jinx, though, means that she's going to remain a target for quite some time. Faker trying to get the damage down onto Jojo as well. Justice Punch not going to get any CC, and Faker able to utilize his phase rush really nicely to just dance on the edge of that taunt. Alvaro moving in, and Keria, he loves Hex Flash. He also just loves standing in weird spots. And that is what he's going to continue to do as T1 take their first streak of the game. That'll be the Hex Tech.
I mean, Faker...
So another Hex Tech, so that's good news, I guess.
Faker's just chilling, you know, clears that wave, doesn't even have to get involved in this. And looking back at this play down here on the bottom side, Owner comes over here, but it's actually really well played by MCOY. They're able to get this chain CC onto Guma. The damage is enough. Super then gets the reset, has the flash, has the ghost to buy space against that cone that gets dropped, and that's all he needs. And then Keria is actually able to come over here with a really cool Hex Flash over the wall and catches Supa off guard. And he doesn't hit the crash down, but Supa gets a little bit greedy here. I think if he just walks away, this doesn't happen. Yeah. And at the end of the day, Keria, I think this is absolutely worth for him.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Especially because Alvaro gets the kill and not the Jinx.
He was otherwise probably just dead, I think. If Alvaro is actually able to frontline for Supa, then there's just not a whole lot of chance the Keria gets out. So able to take one with him. And you can see T1 now with Feats of Warfare already locked down. They're on their way to picking up these objective feats as well. And so as far as shoes are concerned, T1 are getting very, very close to making them fancy. And Alvaro and Supa have done that lane swap thing, move towards this top side as the grubs are about to spawn. Top side of the map going to be an important place to look out for, but Owner is moving in once again.
Yeah, vision control of the river.
Yep, Supa still without any summoner spells. The Ghost is pretty close. 3-man Pulverize as well is very good. As Elyoya looking to make this one fair. Gumayushi trying to get himself out of there as in he goes. They look for Owner to try and take him down first, but the Shattering Strike is so good. Zap is sidestepped, and T1 get themselves out. I don't know about this one. Doran is a 1-0-1 Ambessa.
Looking for this kill onto Owner, but he's got the control vision, and he's just going to be able to put a pillar up and walk away. But it's still a huge win for MCOY. And I think T1 are disrespecting the range of this Jinx and how well Supa has been positioned, man. There's so many near hits. There's so many near lockdowns onto this Jinx, and he just is able to get out every time as JoJo.
Faker could be in a lot of trouble here. He does have Flash available, gets that phase rushes. Now flashes in and gets out with the Realm Warp. That was so sexy, Faker.
We've seen this so many times for Faker where he walks out and then flashes back into the Realm Warp at the last possible second to get out there, and he will live just barely. Still a huge win here for MCOY.
The flash, and JoJo just going to punish him.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other play looked really cool, and I think cutting the video before the Winds of War comes out is going to be really easy in the highlight package, so it'll be fine.
Well, you know, it is what it is. Great job, JoJo. Yep. Extremely accurate cue there.
It was very well done. As, yeah, the flashes do have to be utilized. And here, towards the top side of the map, Elyoya moving on in.
I mean, this is a huge angle here for MCOY to potentially get a kill. And Plate Gold, at least, is also on the menu.
Oh, Guma gonna have to flash out of the way of the Flame Chomp as the Supercharger does come on in. JoJo looking to try and get that knockup, but they didn't even require it to land, as now Keria just wanting to take one of them away. Super Mega Death Rocket comes on in, not able to lock down the kill, but Keria is still dead, and it still goes over to the Jinx, exactly where MCOY wants the money.
So multiple plates going to go over. Kill goes over to the Jinx here. JoJo picks up a second of the game, and T1 are a little bit in trouble here. Now, Faker is pushing hard in the mid lane to try to trade some plate gold back at least. Doran has control of the bottom side of the map, but just understanding this Jinx is in such a great position there, knowing where Owner was so far away, unable to impact the play. The fact that they have this global Galio who can join that fight. Faker had to use his Realm Warp to escape, so can't match that rotation. There's all of these things, all the communication across the squad here, especially on the top side of the map for MCOY, allows this play to happen. As we're going to go back to this play here, as it's a really sick flash from Faker. So he steps out of the Realm Warp, they chase, flashes back in, perfectly timed, and we'll cut the video right there.
And now we're going to check it out from JoJo's perspective, as this is a completely different one, but really nice Q flash, making sure that Faker has the most difficulty reacting, as Alvaro is going to be okay as we come back to live. Was looking in a little bit of trouble. He's able to get himself out of there.
Wow, there's still a huge problem here on the bottom side of the map, right? Like the fact that Guma's 0-2, doesn't have his call yet, doesn't have his first complete item, Yuntal's done, means all of these early team fights here, I mean, we're only 10.5 minutes in, this accelerated Jinx can do so much work with the front line she has, even this early. Like, we talk about Jinx as a strong scaling champion, but I mean, there's just so many tools to empower her, and she has the lead already. So this is such a good game state here for MCOY.
It really is. And when you have such a range advantage as well against the squad of T1 like Supa does, it feels like you have even earlier power than you otherwise would in a lot of these other compositions. T1 are going to have to make sure that they layer CC on top of Super, and you mentioned it beautifully before. Super's been playing really well. His positioning, his spacing has been phenomenal. That's allowed MCOY to do exactly what they need to do. Doran now in potentially a bit of trouble, but as you saw there, just one ability doing so much. Public execution down towards this bottom side is EWC not actually able to utilize that crescent guard effectively. JoJo down to 300. The traffic cone says no, as Faker will be able to take down the gargoyle. EWC soon to follow, and T1, they answer the few good things that happened for MCOY previously really well here in the bottom lane.
I remember Merwin did not have teleport, so it's not done yet.
Well, there's the Pulverizer, connects onto 2 as Super is once again doing everything he can to get as much damage as possible. Albro with that unbreakable will. Super Mega Death Rocket means the carrier is dead. The Zap connects onto Faker, and the Pulverize comes on down. That's going to be enough to get another couple of kills for this Jinx.
I mean, the story of this game, the series potentially going to 3, might just be that T1 did not respect this Jinx player. They just keep going into these incredibly greedy and risky fights where Super just outpositions and is able to, with the help of his support in this case, get it. Now, the initial fight here, remember, there's no ultimate for the Galio, so JoJo Pyong can't actually ult it. He's already with EWC anyways, but he's not going to be able to buy any additional time here. The Crescent Guard has to be used early. There's no teleport for the Gwen, so I think fighting here down a member was not the right call. After this is a big win here for T1, they get incredibly greedy, right? They're able to take out EWC, but what happens next is they decide, okay, we're going to split here. We're going to send, of course, our top laner back to the side lane, and then they go in on the Supo, just baits them in. Alvaro is still here.
Oh no, and Doran teleported to mid lane.
Yeah, he just left because he's like, I gotta go back to sides, and at the same time, Carrier Magnet Storm's only an Alistair, and then when this Jinx gets accelerated, you're not gonna get away from her. 2 kills over to Supa, he's now up to 4.
Oh dear. Doran has now made it back down towards his bottom lane, and Carrier's like, I can help, and then he is not actually
Sorry,
able to
5.
help. 5, 1, and 2 here for Super.
This game may just be over, Atlas. Like, if this continues, I mean, Faker has a significant lead in this game for sure, don't get me wrong, and he's going to do a lot of damage later, but he's going for the Rod of Ages build, as Rise is wont to do, and this Jinx is just, frankly, too big to fail. He gets more plate gold here. Solo is going to get the entire turret here, all plates in the bottom lane before plates fall off. This Jinx could not be more accelerated. This Jinx could not be more ahead. 2,500 approximately the lead here he has over this Kaisa. And T1 going to have to play a little bit more respectfully around it. They're going to come back in this one.
Yeah, they really will. They're going to have to use everything onto Super, and they're going to have to actually hit their abilities this time around. As Faker able to realm warp his way out, no way that Merwin's going to be able to interrupt him. And so Faker going to make it to safety. Does mean that he doesn't have the ultimate for the next little while, as JoJo could be in a little bit of trouble. Justice Punch to get the double taunt. Really nicely done, but the traffic cone has to be respected. And JoJo is able to get out of there. Flash needing to be used, but still not going to be giving up too much more. And look at this. Super with so much of the team's gold. That's just so dangerous here for T1. If MCOY just continue playing their game, this is going to get way more difficult later on.
Yeah, if we were in a game state where it was lower kills and we're 14.5 minutes in, we're a Drake apiece, you're like, oh man, that Jinx is going to be a problem later. I'm a little bit concerned about that. You have to consider it, but she's a problem now. And she's been a problem for a while, and it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get better as the Kaisa, who's just completely outranged. So at T1 here, it's going to take some really creative plays here, and Faker having to realm warp defensively. That's one of their better tools to try to flank or set up a really nice macro play down, because he keeps getting threatened as well. You know, trading that for Merwin's ult is definitely a trade up for MCOY at this point in time.
Yep. And now Super parking himself in mid. Will be able to relentlessly shove waves in. As Ona moves over, does walk on top of a ward.
And the Kraken Slayer build isn't going to do anything for the range here of this Kaisi. You know, we're not going to see that poke build. We're not going to see the Nashers. And it's just really challenging from this point on. Not impossible, but very tricky, as Doran is going to hide this TP, but he's coming in.
Yeah, he is going to join. We've got a bit of a 5v5 here. They have to get on top of Super if T1 wants to win a team fight. That's
Merwin on the flank.
And JoJo also off to the side. There's the Pulverize on top of T1. The Magnastorm this time is really good. As Super flashes away, he stays alive for so long, but Gumayusi finally gets on top of him. They take down the key target, but can they actually win the fight? That's the question, because Guma's also dead. Doran is so low that he cannot stay in this fight as the needlework is doing everything it needs to. It's a double kill now for the Xin Zhaos. Now Doran looking for it here on Alvaro, and Faker locks down the kill. Oyoya now trying to push forward. These health bars are so low. The crash down is perfect, and Doran stays alive. Moen not able to close the gap. And T1, how the hell did you do that?
I mean, Faker's got phase rush here. He's going to walk into melee range, though.
Surely isn't the engagement over? The engagement's over, right? There it is. Thank you very much. Super Mega Death Rocket, not enough damage just yet.
Yeah, Faker's turned his Realm Warp into an escape rope in this game, but it has worked
really is, man. He's
well.
straight back to the focus center every time.
He's out of the dungeon, but the fight here initially looks really tricky to pull off for T1. Supa's positioned back right. He has this insane frontline, right? He's got an Alistair, he's got a Xin Zhao, he's got this Galio. It's Doran's ultimate that follows up here onto carry. Doran's at like 30% health. That's really the big difference maker, is Supa just cannot kite everything. JoJo Pan a little bit late on the taunt for the peel, and that's the winning play here. Yes, Merwan is a raid boss. He is massive on this Gwyn. He's going to offer so much damage, but the positioning here for T1 is great, and Faker is playing this Rise. We talked about how he could buy so much space into this melee composition. Once the Jinx is down, it's Faker's playground. And he's just going to be assisted here by Doran and Carrier. Merwan can't close the gap onto him. Faker's got the phase rush. It's just so difficult to lock down this Rise. Faker then does a little bit of a funky thing where he walks back in, but he realm warps out, and it's okay.
Oh dear. And the interruption on the crash down here means the Carrier is likely just dead as he looks to try and make his way out, but was caught there as he took a little detour. Alvaro may be in a little bit of trouble himself, though, but does have the Unbreakable Will, does need to invest it. As Rift Herald down here in this mid lane. One good thing for MCOY was that they were able to take that objective, but it's not able to knock down this outer turret. As MCOY, they also got feats of strength by being able to take that Rift Herald as well. So
they're going to
grab more
of
these objectives available for them.
They're going to grab this Dragon too. Faker, this turret is too healthy, I think, for anything to eventuate here on the top side. Maybe Owner can grab this blue buff away. I think that is going to be the best case for a cross map here. And IE is done now. So yes, it's 2 items versus 2 items here for the 80 carry, but we've talked about the range so much, I don't really need to beat it into you guys anymore, but I am still concerned despite T1 taking that fantastic fight before. I don't know if they're going to get that chance every time as Carrier once again caught.
Yep, I've seen this one before, as Carrier doesn't have his flash and doesn't have a chance to get out. So he's just going to die for a 5th time. He trading his life for information, I guess, guys, is what I'm going to say.
I mean, there just wasn't really any big objective up there to force or to fight for, and that's going to be a turret that goes over as a result here. By the way, to the Jinx, again, who has empowered Berserker's Greaves from the feats of strength, and I mean, it feels like a pretty big support gap in this one, I have to say. Alvaro's been having an amazing game on this Alistair, and Carrier has made some risky decisions. Some of them have paid off, right? Like his Hex Flash shenanigans on the bottom side where he was able to assassinate Supa. We've seen some of those succeeding, and the gold graph is crazy because T1 have won some phenomenal fights despite the deficit to keep it lower, but the Jinx is still a big problem that I think they're still going to have to solve. And like I said before, leading into that fight, you're not always going to get that Doran ult on top of Supa, as JoJo is the target.
There's public execution as JoJo should be going down here. He does flash, try and get himself out of the way, is now Alvaro going to once again put Carrier into a 1v3. Oh no, this poor horse lady is Gumayusi looking for Super. He dives in on top. There is the defense from JoJo, but still T1 are pushing forward even after Carrier going down. The AoE from this Kaiser is massive. Faker as well doing so much work, but maybe it's not enough because Moen gets in there with the scissors and will be able to cut them up. Owner now walking away with about 50 health, and we'll see whether he does make the great escape. It looks like the answer is potentially, as he looks to get an execute. And
I think he's been out of combat. He gets the execute. I think he does. Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, well played. Not the end of the world for MCOY because they still win the fight, still win it swimmingly. As Supa's positioning once again was so good in that fight. Yes, he ultimately does die, but he does so much damage before he does. He has the ult coming through from JoJo, and then this time Merwan's able to take Faker out. That's really the key here, because Faker, once Supa is dead, Faker can kind of do anything as long as he can buy the space against this melee composition, but he did die So we are going to see a teleport in here, a bit of an Otacon contest just after spawn.
Yep, and now we're looking to see whether Carrier can get the reverse legendary. Only 2 more away from that one.
Jojo
is setting up for this Otacon.
Jojo does not have his ult. He does have TP, however, he's going to use it.
Yep, Doran going for the engage here is my god. Alvaro just taking most of his health bar here from a combo out of this 2-item Ambessa.
Yeah, he does not have unsealed or teleport. He's just going to have to take the long walk back here. Will go home and try to reset. His ult will be up in just a moment. Really hard for T1 to take this fight, though, into the Jinx. Those low health bars make it such a easy front to back for Supa, even without the Alistar, who is returning as quickly as his legs can carry him back towards this objective. And T1 instead going to push this wave out, slow start the Otacon here, try to clear vision, but this buys time for MCOY to come back over for the contest. This is going to be a pivotal moment in this second game.
Yep, here's going to be, it should be an honest 5v5 as Jojo making his way over as well, very close to having that heroic entrance back off cooldown as Elyoya looking to make his way in 400 health, and he steals it! Super Mega Death Rocket not going to connect, and now the Realm Warp going to get T1 to safety, but they do not get those petals in the Otacon buff this time around. Gold is even, but those stats are not going to be so.
Yeah, this was a really close fight for T1. They wanted to clear so much vision that bought enough time for the rotation over for MCOY, and just barely MCOY get there in time, and then it's a bit of a panic from Owner and attempting to smite early and try to get out there, but he smites so early. I think it was like 400 health, and then it just goes over to his opposition in Elyoya. Says thank you very much for the leash, thank you for the free objective. Gold is dead even. The lead, though, that Supa once had has faded away a little bit. We are also eventually now going to see that Nasher's Tooth come through here for Guma. A bit of an adaptation on the build. Like this a lot. You know, when you have the money that he does have, we're cresting the mid game here, we're moving towards the late game. There's going to be a lot of extra power and range to fight for the neutral objectives. And this is such a close game.
Yeah, and I feel like you can do this. They will have a fair bit of magic damage in comparison to the physical, but with the Kraken Slayer, you do feel a bit nicer. And of course, the first item, a bit of a flex for the Kai'Sa. It's just when the Rage Blade comes in, you can either go the Terminus for that little bit more of a physical ebb on the on-hit, or you can take the Nashor's Tooth.
I think the Nashor's is just such a smart choice given the
I like it. Gives you like an actual poke option as well with the Void Seekers.
We just haven't seen it that much, and I think this is the right time to do it. Guma gonna pull it out here. Doesn't quite have it just yet for this dragon fight, however. Faker has a Realm Warp, and he is on this flank angle here, but the T1 vision is extremely limited, as you can see here.
Yeah, no idea on the health bar of this dragon, as we can see. Vicaria making his way in. The flash comes forward, and there's the pickup from Doran as he gets into the backline once again. But the Pulverize is on top of this Rel. Super is the target. There's the zooming Gumushi able to lock that one down as he's kiting gorgeously. Jojo finally gets that punch to justice on top of him, and now Merwin is there in melee range against Faker and does get that snip. Doran needs to kill 3 people. He's getting decently close, but another knock-up from Jojo. And this guy, he really is the savior of Europe, isn't he? As even on the Galio, he's able to win out the team fight.
Oh, absolutely. A phenomenal fight here for the side of MCOY. I was trying to combine phenomenal and fantastic, but...
and you almost just got Fnatic.
Yeah, I know.
The wrong team.
Yeah, wrong team, wrong time to be talking about Fnatic, sadly. But the target selection here is very messy. Like, Supa is not the one who's ultimately hit here by Doran, and look at the peel. Like, he is the president. Yes, ultimately, Guma is able to play this incredibly well. Flashes in, is able to execute him before he dies, but Faker's isolated. Merwin makes sure to stay on top while the rest of T1 are trying to chase down this backline. And as Faker dies, the fight is over. Doran will not be able to compete. As Jojo...
Okay, got a bit of a teleport in.
Yeah,
Jojo
he may be in danger.
Be in trouble, exactly.
He got the inner.
Going to be available as Faker almost taunts himself is what it kind of feels like. Killer Instinct comes down though as Gumushi will be able to help Faker lock down the kill. Teleport comes in, uncancelable of course, as Merwin looking to try and answer back.
Supa has his ultimate, but it's just not quite enough damage at this stage to get the kill there onto Faker. They needed a little bit more. So it is a critical kill here onto Jojo, but he does have TP and he will have his ult on respawn. Also picked up a Zhonya as his Baron is going to be the look here for T1. They love to do this on spawn. They're going to head over and try for it now before JoJo can get back up and get into the fight. It's a risky call. Keria, though, on the flank also has the Omega Blast Cone here to try to set up a big Magnet Storm despite not having Flash. He's got better Flash.
Well, Elioya is going to be here, so it's likely to be pretty close to a 50-50, even if there aren't quite as many members of MCOY. 5 seconds until the teleport can be available from JoJo, but it's down to 2,000, and this time Ona, he's able to lock down the smite. The King's Tribute keeps him healthy as well, but not healthy enough, and he's going to be left out to the Wolves as T1 say, Ona for a Baron? Yeah, we'll take those.
I think they will take it. It's not exactly the cleanest. It's not 100% what they wanted there. They wanted to get out for free. Keria wasn't able to find the angle. Really respectful approach there by MCOY. They were able to avoid knowing that Keria was on that flank angle, the Magnet Storm. So T1 aren't able to win the fight. They end up losing their Trundle and will lose an inner turret despite the fact that they're the ones having the Baron. So, like, yes, if you count, like, okay, 1 Trundle for Baron feels great, but the lack of map control, the fact that they had to Realm Warp out there and base means 2 turrets, in fact, now as Merwin is so big on this Gwen, do go over. And so much of this Baron time will be spent clearing waves to try to get to those turrets. So yes, getting Baron, getting the gold from Baron is better than the gold you lose from the Trundle, but MCOY, I think, ultimately the big victors here. And, you know, the only gold lead on this map still is Fakers. But the problem is, I just don't know if they could consistently lock down Supa. The peel has been good. His positioning has been good. That's going to still be the name of the game. It has been from start to finish in this one. Can you kill that Jinx? It gets harder and harder.
Yep, looking to build towards a rapid-fire cannon now as well. You can see the Zeal comes in. JoJo, once again, potentially in trouble as the traffic cone is going to say you're not allowed to drive here, as he does get the taunt off against the police officer. Keria moving on forward, and there it is. Exhaust coming on down. Alvaro in position now as well. As, oh god, Faker is really starting to do some work as 3 items have been completed. Now it's just pure damage he's going to be building, and this Rise will be getting scarier and scarier in this game.
Yeah, that's going to be the turret to go down. Good punish once again onto JoJo. They got his flash as well, and Alvaro comes over, but he alone is not going to be able to turn this around.
Yeah, teleport in from Carrier as well, as he's going to join the rest of his teammates after getting that health bar back up to full as T1 with this Baron buff pushing forward. Now with everyone alive, are able to step back onto that front foot. Supercharge coming on in, Gumayushi utilizing that to walk out. He's getting a little nervous there. Have to say, he was falling super far behind, right? He was 0-2-0 in the earlier stage of the game. Now 5-4-3. Can certainly count down, which is kind of impressive, but also being able to keep that gold very, very even. He's been the assassin that T1 have been looking for against Super.
I love his itemization. He has the arm guard now as well. He is able to find these ways. He's the one who's been able to assassinate Supa and keep these fights close. Like, he's the one who's making it happen. Sure, it was Doran earlier in that first big fight, but since then it's been Guma has been able to, even with Supa's fantastic positioning, find those angles, and he needs to continue to do so. 10 seconds here until what will be Chemtech Soul for MCOY. Keria goes in.
Yeah, Magnet Storm onto just one. They were looking for Elioya, but there's the Shattering Strike. Heroic Entrance comes on down as MCOY have all grouped up. Faker going golden, Merwin looking for him once again. It's Supa off to the side, but it's Gumayushi going golden in the backline and then eventually just explodes. This is not what T1 wanted. It's in fact an absolute disaster as MCOY just put them down. They say that was a nice attempt, I guess, guys, and they will look to try and break open the base. They can take a soul, and I think, Wolf, we are going to a third game.
I think we're going the distance on this one. Supa sitting at full health. A desperate attempt there from Keria and T1 with the Realm Warp flank, but Supa just will not go down. There's too much peel, too much protection, and he is just lasering them down now. The inhibitor will fall, and MCOY poised to end game 2 to bring us to a third.
Yep, Keria looking to try and stop them, but he's barely even a distraction here as Doran, the same story. Gets a cute little shield, but these Nexus turrets are still going to fall. The Nexus follows suit, and MCOY, they are still in it. They will be able to take down this second Koi, as the keys are looming over. One of them going to be destroyed after this game.
Just one of these teams will remain. Guma with the Comet, showcasing it front and center here. Obviously the lethality variant in a draft like this, even with the Cassante and the Jarvan on the other side. You know, you just want to have the additional poke, and it sets up for the victor to clean up later on in the game so incredibly well.
Oh, money.
Massive gold lead here.
That is huge.
Big.
A little bit of a shame for Moen that he has to be fighting back from such a massive deficit here in this early game.
Can Doran double it?
Just see, he's been very patient, as we can see. There it is. And yep, another one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, doubling your advantage.
Nobody's ever gotten a triple before. Not in a pro game.
Look at how patient he is, man.
Gotcha. He got him!
Oh goodness. 3 gold? Okay, well, I mean, Elyoya does manage to spot out a ward, so he actually, he had 5 gold. But I do really like the fishing. It was very peaceful, and I like that part of it.
All right, well, early game here definitely feels like it's going to be incredibly close, right? Like we don't have lanes that auto win. You mentioned Keria being a lane bully on this Tahm Kench. She absolutely has been in the past. Another matchup like this, especially at level 1, you can put the threat on here because Guma just does so much damage at level 1. His Comet damage stacks up here as well, and Keria, with the gray health, can just look for aggressive trades as much as he wants in this early game. This matchup here is so much more skill-based, right? You want to look for your electrocute procs, non-stop Azaria, while trying to avoid those rays here from the Victor and trade as best as you can. Level 2 here for T1, bottom lane.
Yep. A big deal as well for both of these champions. They love hitting that level 2. As Jojo taking a fair bit from this death ray as Elyoya in the area, as he is just looking to keep clearing. I think Faker knew exactly what was going on. They did have that ward on the Raptors. So knowing the pathing here of the Jarvan, important, because Jarvan's certainly one of these champions that can gank extraordinarily early. As here, Doran trying to get that shove in. No one here on the top side for what feels like the first time at level 3.
Yeah. And strong push in mid and bottom lane. Like T1 just have outskilled all 3 of these lane matchups to an extent to where they can get that extra control. And Jojo, you know, once again, will be a little bit on the back foot. Will freeze this wave nicely. The threat of the Jarvan is definitely something Faker will always have at the back of his mind, even with that ward there that he has in the bottom side river.
Yeah. Bit of a tempo heal is what it kind of felt like there.
Uh-oh, Jojo
in a lot of trouble. The Orb of Deception comes down. The Flash is going to be traded here as Faker also taking some damage from that turret. Also still manages to get the cannon. That's the most important thing. But man, Flash is missing in the mid lane. And Faker will be able to hold this wave at a pretty awkward spot here as he teleports back.
Interrupts his back for just a second, actually, which isn't going to feel great, but should be fine either way. That was a very tense moment there. Faker looking for the Ray to kill Jojo there, but he responds well with his own flash as a double knockup.
Yeah, going to come in. The Battle Dance gets Alvaro out of there, though. And Gumiushi down to about 250. His owner looking for an angle. No flashes, remember. As Faker, still with the teleport, wasn't actually able to go back home, and Jojo just gets stunned into the wall. The minions run out, the gravity well is there, and there is first blood over to the GOAT.
We've seen this so many times for Jojo where he gets a huge lead, but doesn't respect the fact that the jungler can come over and turn things around as, oh boy, Doran way up himself.
He is, and Doran, can he get out of this? It's going to, no, the answer is going to be probably not, but he does have flash. So he might be able to utilize it. I'm just saying, hopefully he doesn't, and he then does immediately afterwards. Gets a counter-strike, though, and there he is. He's able to get out. Leap strike to the minions as they come in.
Yeah, waits really long time for the flash there. Doesn't try to flash the flag drag, but ultimately flashes afterwards and is able to get the leap to the minion, as you say, and gets out of dodge right as the lane swap comes through. I mean, it almost felt certain there, but he does survive. And that kill in the mid lane for Faker is pretty massive. You know, the pressure absorbed there, nice for Faker. He stopped his back and almost felt like this was pre-planned moments ago. Faker's so famous for making calls like this in the comms, like, hey, I'm going to stop my back. I think he's going to continue to chase. You can path over to me. And if he looks for the kill there off the TP, since I have to lay back, we get something out of this. As Guma doesn't have Keria with him right now, but I think he will be totally fine as Keria rotates over.
Yeah, going to get here now as the Gleaming Quill from Alvaro is going to be able to get the heal. And T1 continuing to put on the pressure. You were talking about lane dominance. That is all continuing here, especially with that huge chunk as the Blight is procced. There's the flash forward, though, as they get the flag and drag. Gravity well goes down, but the charm is so good. Faker actually able to walk it off, though, and Elyoya once again underneath the turret. Owner takes the kill, and it's highway robbery from T1 in this mid lane.
I mean, how many times do we have to talk about the Faker taunt at international tournaments?
Oh my God.
And it's just once again so close, but not enough. Faker just walks it off. sitting on his double health crystals here.
And he needed all of that health. Sometimes the Ruby Crystals feel fantastic because the Arcane Storm is layered on top of JoJo here in this mid lane. Level 6 claimed by Faker a little bit earlier on as Moen continuing to dab, but I don't know whether he's going to be going down just yet. No flash available, but still, he'll just able to get that back off and get himself away. Man, these health bars are making me nervous. Well,
yeah, JoJo almost
game
has level 6. There it is. And Faker's out of mana, but he does play respectfully. Look at this play here. Like, Faker stopped his back moments before, and like, JoJo has all this tempo advantage, right? Owner comes over here, though, gets the drag. This is the second time. And we skipped the earlier one. Oh, Elyoya thinks he has the kill. Owner is able to push him into the wall there under turret aggro. And Elyoya is super frustrated because it's not even like Elyoya played it badly. He just didn't expect that rotation over there. Faker having so much extra health as this is in live.
Yeah.
Slow comes in.
Throws the boulder down. JoJo really not wanting to press that R button, but he's going to have to. The flash immediately afterwards here from Owner as he slows down Elyoya as well. And Carrier has ghosted in there and then just gets himself out. That was a bit interesting.
Well, it was a really cool play there from Carrier because it's relatively low risk. Has to commit the flash for it, but can just get his way out as we saw. And unfortunately, the red buff is on Team MCOY, and will be an escape there. But man, what a close exchange.
Really was. I'm trying to work out, like, what was exchanged? Like, was it worth it? It looked really cool from Carrier.
I don't think it was worth it.
It feels like he just threw a whole lot of buttons into the abyss.
No, I don't think it was worth it.
Yeah, now Owner is also getting somewhat caught, but there's not a lot of damage between a Rakan and a Jarvan at this stage of the game against the Skarner. So Doran with a few trades here going pretty well on the bottom side. His Sheen is now being put together.
You can see, you know, some of these items, the Sheen you mentioned, the first Dirk coming through here for Gumeyusi, so he's got some of those additional stats here for this upcoming grub fight. Faker with a later back here, but will ultimately be able to, with that push, be able to match any rotation over of JoJo towards this potential grub fight. They're both top laners teleportless, so at best case scenario in terms of champions we're going to see is a 4v4 here on the top side. But Elyoya looks uninterested completely here, wants to look for a Cataclysm play here at level 6 onto Doran.
Yeah, surely Doran's not going to be able to make his way out this time as the all-out comes on through. Decent amount of value there with the counter-strike, but not enough as Elyoya just throws down the Cataclysm and manages to finish him off.
After that show bottom side, T1 could just say, well, there's no jungler here. We have the numbers advantage, and we're going to take these grubs in return. So it's not going to be without cost here. Some gold gets injected into this Jarvan. They take the Jax off of the map, which is pretty significant, but T1 are going to always have that extra side lane threat with a Jax now on 3 grubs. Yes, he's down on gold now, but his side lane pressure is going to be real later on.
Certainly will be. The Dragon still going here. As you can see, Elyoya getting the start on it a little while back. You can see picture in picture, very, very close to going down, and it doesn't look like T1 is going to be able to stop it. So there it is, the first Ocean going to be taken here. Next Dragon going to be that Hex Tech. See what the soul is going to be. Knock up onto Faker, good charm there from JoJo as well. Not a whole lot more going to eventuate with the gravity field not quite stunning anyone.
Yeah, I just want to grab a split plate here, and they will do so. You know, it's
pretty scary.
It ends up being fairly even. You know, the kill goes over to Elyoya, right? They are able to push Doran out of the side lane. They get the Dragon in trade for the grubs since it's a late first Dragon here. But I kind of favor, because it is a Jax, T1's position here is JoJo getting the charm.
Yeah, really nice charm there as the Spirit Rush, still a couple of charges. As Faker wanting to be able to get that shield back down to 100 now as JoJo goes back in. The Arcane Storm doesn't work, and there it is, a shutdown from JoJo. Solo kill onto Faker.
The flash was really well timed there from JoJo. Gets that final auto, gets the reset, his health back, and we'll just kite the minions back to the turret. And finally, this time he got Faker for real. Takes him out here in the solo. The charm so well placed, weaved in there onto Faker. He plays it so respectfully there, and it will just teleport back to lane. So big win for him, has now shored up some of that mid lane deficit down to just 100 gold. As we go back to the play itself, look at this, goes into point blank range here through the minions, gets on top of Faker. I think Faker feeling confident with those minions there. Doesn't have the flash, of course, gets the return Q there. That's huge, that's the damage he needs. Gets in with, gets the Foxfire, flashes out, gets the reset, gets the heal.
Yeah, getting the essence back as well, making sure that it wasn't even close. Millen, he's Cassante. We've seen some Cassantes be pretty powerful, but the Comet wasn't there last time. That's going to be what finishes him off. And T1 straight back on the horse as they're looking to take down this outer turret on the top side of the map.
And Guma gets a lot of money here from this play, and the leads that have been generated across these lanes, even with the death on Doran, even with that kill picked up by JoJo, are still there. You know, T1 still with a significant early game lead, as we're going to see the channel here pushing Faker out.
Yeah, very
it's
little
not enough.
But the Rod of Ages is coming along pretty well here for Faker, so he's going to be relatively takey. As there is the suppression, Super finds himself in a very uncomfortable position, but Alvaro comes back and is going to be able to convince them to leave him alone. Flash has to be used, Cleanse has to be used.
Yeah, double summoners down there. Owner doesn't have to commit his flash for the play. Not entirely sure how he was able to get on top of Super like that. Just a nice flank angle, I suppose.
It might be like the Knight situation from yesterday, where we'll just never know.
I don't know if this one's going to have the same sort of high implications as that one yesterday, but it's still pretty big and will affect Supa's ability to team fight, you know, on this next dragon, because he's not going to have those, or at least not going to have his flash, that key summoner that's so important for a champion like MF to survive through, especially when he's already so far behind into this lethality Varus that already has that big first Ghost Blade, is going to have his Muramana relatively quickly with the lead he has in this one as well. So yeah, there's been some really great plays here for MCOY. We have to give respect to how well JoJo's played the lane. You know, the attempt from Elyoya that failed, right, to kill Faker was just an outplay by T1. It wasn't even like Elyoya botched it, but T1 have been better in these critical moments and will hold the lead for now. But this is still a relatively close game. 2,000 gold is a lot at 12.5 minutes, but you know, it could just be one team fight that brings MCOY back into this, but I'm loving T1's position so far.
Yep. Of course, MCOY not out of it just yet, but as you were saying, T1 looking better this time around. But we haven't seen any honest fights just yet. As Ona looking to maybe stop that one as the Gravity Well comes in, the all-out from Mo and gets him out of that. As now Faker just going to have to try and walk his way out, and he's not going to be able to do so. Decides instead that he needs to kill the wave, and he will manage to do that. But Moen with another solo kill. Faker really kind of falling apart at the seams here in this game 3.
Merwin has the Frostfire Gauntlet, so he knows he has the slows, knows he can use his Unstoppable to get through the gravity field. As we might have a fight down here. I don't know if T1 are going to think better of it or not, as it's just too tough to actually close this gap here. Owner could have looked for a Flash Impale.
Yeah, Elyoya not able to slow down Gumayusi, as he does have that Ghost Blade that you were talking about.
Doran now down his TP, so TP advantage to Merwin as he has to come up here and catch the wave that Faker lost after dying there in the top side. Faker now respawns, but doesn't have a TP of his own, so bottom prio belongs to JoJo, who can push this wave in. And T1 fought so hard to try to get something to happen there on the bottom side so they could control the dragon, but now just a reset timer here for Gumayusi. And Doran doesn't have a TP to join, whereas Merwin absolutely could. He's going to instead opt to go to the top lane. Owner?
Oh dear, okay, JoJo not going to get crashed into here as Owner wants to find the angle. There's the Impale, but the Spirit Rush going to get JoJo out, but 8 seconds on the Drake and no ult for the Ahri. That could be a big deal. That could allow T1 to even out the Drake counter.
Yeah, looking likely here now that JoJo doesn't have any mobility, is pushed away. And it's just going to be T1 taking this free Drake. We'll find out what soul it's going to be in just a moment. I mean, a TP here for JoJo, but it's just to catch the wave. To contest the Drake would be a pipe dream at this point.
Yeah, especially without an R button available. So Alvaro just going to get escorted towards his outer turret.
Cloud.
There's the dragon. There's a Cloud Soul. There it is. That's my T1. They love their Cloud Souls, much like I do. As now Gumayusi going to be pushed over towards the side with the rest of his teammates.
It's a pretty good,
goes over to MCOY.
Pretty good comp for Cloud for T1. It's decent for MCOY as well, but I feel like I really like it for T1, especially considering the Jax, the Skarner, the Tom Kench, who's also going to love that. So, Area, speaking of Tom Kench, interrupted.
Yeah, going to try and get himself out of here as the Gravity Well does come on through. He needs to eat that Grey Health, and he does do so. The Piercing Arrow working out so well here for Gumayusi and Elyoya. Unfortunately, it just didn't have the damage. Keria ate all of it and said, all right, what's next?
Every time.
Didn't have an answer.
This is why it's so frustrating to play against T1. Every time you think they made a mistake, every time you think they're out of position, every time you say, oh man, he can't be there, that's illegal, I've got this. They turn it around. Now, that wasn't necessarily true of Keria's Rel in game 2, but so often, you know, we talked about the Doran pick in game 1, they looked for, you know, the T1 is so good at turning around on these, and they're always so tight-knit, the grouping, that if you can't kill someone fast enough, T1 will get in, they will get the punish, and it's the second time Elyoya has died looking for such a pick. But Baker is also looking for a pick and may die if Alvaro can find the angle here.
There's another Spirit Rush, as he's got another charge of that one as the Arcane Storm goes down, and JoJo might need to ult just to stop himself from dying, as Faker not scared of the 2v1.
Yeah. If the Rakan has ult, I think this is a different situation, but he just simply does not. So he kind of shows up and Faker's like, get out of here.
Yeah. He will acquiesce there as well as T1. They have picked up the feats of strength as well, so these shoes feeling that little bit better.
And with that commitment bottom side, I mean, Faker has TP, doesn't have to use it here, and they just get the Herald, excuse me, for free because they just know there's no contest. Elyoya also on the bottom side of the map you're showing on Vision, and T1 are going to go, okay, well, Herald plus turret, thank you very much.
Oh dear. So Merwin is not going to die or anything like that, but he will lose his turret here on the top side of the map and all of the minions.
Yeah, Doran's going to say, I'll let the turret kill the minions before I take it out with my 3 grubs on this Jax that now has a 300 gold lead. Sorry, did I say 300? I meant 600 as the turret falls. And yeah, this Jax we mentioned with grubs is going to be a problem. He's already starting to hit that threshold.
Yeah, 3,000 is the lead here for T1, but there is a lot of other things as well that they have built up for themselves. Now JoJo possibly in trouble. Carrier comes in, doesn't land the Abyssal Dive, but it's still a decent amount of damage as now Elyoya comes forward. This time Carrier might be dying, gets a Devour, and then dies. That's the plan. Didn't have flash, didn't have a way out.
Yeah, and JoJo is going to use his ult. So we'll need to get out of there now, as the siege onto this turret will likely mean T1 trades that death for a turret.
Yeah, this is interesting, though. There's not a lot for them to fight for.
I mean, Owner has Impale.
Yeah, but there are 3 people here. That's a lot of bad guys. Gets the double suppressed, though, as the Impale is going to be utilized. Arcane Storm making sure that MCOY get out of there. The boulders connecting as well as the Death Ray. Not going to land the second time.
I mean, JoJo is too low to impact this play.
Oh, God. Well, Alvaro is going to find Gumayusi, but Gumayusi is just going to put him in the ground. Now the Gravity Well comes through yet again, and Gumayusi is dead. Super comes over and says, you cannot just be overextended all game, T1. And T1 are going to say, all right, maybe this...
Finally, the punish comes through as the rest of MCOY show up, as JoJo couldn't really get in there to actually get on top of them, but they used the Impale early, and then they were too far forward, and there's just too many MCOY members rotating down like angry wasps after a disturbed nest to come over and clear T1 out. Doran is going to look for this inner turret, but he may pay with his life.
Well, let's see whether he gets a cute little leap strike off as Super is waiting. The ulti comes through, he flashes as JoJo will be able to get over this wall, but he's going to be alone. The charm connects, and that will mean that MCOY will be able to kill the Jax. So nicely played, almost the great escape there from Doran, and does manage to get the inner turret, so it's not exactly all bad news.
Yeah, no kill to the Ahri there. It ultimately ends up going, or to the MF, goes over to Elyoya, but I mean, this Jarvan is still significantly relevant, and we'll use the gold pretty well, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a cross-map turret this time for sure for T1, right? I think this time they get it, and they make it even more.
Well, that is Moen getting devoured and trying to stay alive. He does do so, buys time for the cavalry to turn up. Chains of Corruption on top of him as well. It's finally Gumayusi gets himself in there as JoJo not able to find it, and the sidesteps are beautiful here from the AD carry from T1. Elsewise, on the other side of the fight, T1 are getting lower and lower, but they will get themselves out of there just with a Cassante.
His Cataclysm was like 3 seconds away. He didn't have it to get on top of Guma, and Guma just Ghost Blades out, absorbs JoJo Pyun there with the Edge of Night as well. Just knows he can walk up to that Ahri and is relatively safe. Now, Elyoya and crew are looking for this dragon. He does have his Cataclysm back. Faker's TPing in. Doran, the first to go in.
He's just going to dive forward into 4 people. Counter-Strike now on cooldown means that he's just going to die here. And now Faker getting in amongst it as well. Down to 1,500 is this dragon, and there is the smite from Elyoya. Finally, the cavalry will arrive, and Gumayusi, not a lot of threat here on top of him. He's going to be chasing out Elyoya, who gets into that brush. Finally, he will find it, and the rest of T1 are looking to tear them apart as well, but it's Super that does so. He gets one of them off the back end, but finally falls, and it's Gumayusi's Varus that's looking like it's spelling victory here for T1 in Game 3.
Yeah, this is just starting to become too much of a lead here for T1. Dragon advantage goes to MCOY, but it's such a heavy price, and You know, Faker, you know, he started this game off a little bit slow, but it's been a side lane threat, has been kind of the commander for so many of these fights. Joins here late as Doran is the one to engage first.
Doran's having a happy game this time around.
He really is, but like the fact that the Cataclysm gets used onto this Jax while Doran is quite literally 1v4ing means that now how do you catch Guma? How do you catch Faker? They go for Faker, they go for the charm onto this Victor, does a ton of damage as he kites back. They don't take him out. Guma gets the kill here onto Elyoya, and there's no recourse anymore because he used everything on a Jax. At least Supa's able to channel enough to get that extra kill there at the end, and that's a consolation prize, but Guma was just never under any threat because Doran just took all the buttons.
Yep, T1 fans going ballistic in the arena as well. It is not over yet though, and it's not even a 5,000 gold lead. It almost is.
Okay, Chronicle.
I'm looking for a little bit of cope. But they also don't quite have the soul points stacked up just yet. You can see MCOY actually the team that has the most dragons. This Rift Herald not going to quite find too much. So getting distracted is good old Shelly.
I mean, look, there's some ways back into this if you can somehow get the Edge of Night off of Guma and Jojo finds an angle, kills him right, then the fight becomes playable. You have Faker, who doesn't have an arm guard, doesn't have a Zhonya's, you know, if maybe he's the target who gets caught in the side lane, if he's the one who's punished before a big objective, like an Otacon, for example, if they can find those angles, there's a way back in. It's just finding them is so hard against a team that plays so respectfully like T1 and knows how to turn fights. Like, oh, you think you caught Faker, but everyone rotates in so quickly. It's not a global, but even Skarner's ability to get across the map so fast is so relevant in a game like this, especially with Cloud. So we're not there yet, and T1 don't have any Cloud Dragons, but I'm fishing for angles here as to how MCOY get back in, and it's just going to be so tricky here. And when the Varus has the Edge of Night and has a lead like this, like, how do you ever kill him? How do you ever surprise him? How do you ever say, hey, like, you're out of position, we found it?
Catching them on an Otacon could certainly be an opportunity here as Carrier looking for that dive angle, but Merwin, he's also trying to get himself in there. Now going to get out the double suppression is so good here from Ona. The hail of arrows to proc all the blight, and it's a double for Gumayushi. Down goes the jungler, down goes the other smite as well. And that is going to mean even more power over to T1.
You can feel the regret all the way over in the European Union about not banning that Varus in this game.
Oh dear. This guy pretty good at the Varus. This Carrier just looking to support as it's Doran that takes down Super inside the base of MCOY. And this feels like it's not just an Otacon going down. It's like the whole game just exploded in favor of T1 as they'll break open the base, they'll take an inhibitor, and what more are they going to gain here as the bounties have now been set up. Jojo towards the bottom side of the map wants to get a piece of that pie, but it is not really representing all that much good stuff.
No.
Here as we have a look at this fight yet again.
I mean, look at Guma in this fight. Double suppress comes through, charge up the Q, double root coming through, chains of corruption, and Merwin just gives up. He's like, well, I mean, you don't have the angle, I'm out of here. Supo isn't there for the follow-up bullet time. If they have the Cataclysm, if they have an all-out, they're able to get on top of Guma, and they can use all those tools together. That's a winnable fight, 100%, but they're just not synced up. They're not there at the same time. T1 don't give them enough time. And the fact that Guma is able to just chill and say, no, we start this fight, we start this turn with the double suppress. And since MCOY didn't have a prayer there, and you could see the frustration on Jojo's face. You know, he tried to look for the side lane there as his base starts to get broken open, but he can't even really put a dent into that bottom side outer turret. No turrets taken for MCOY, and what is potentially the start of the end of this game.
It really did feel like it. As soon as that Otacon was taken, there was not a whole lot more that could be done here. Azona looking to get on top of Jojo. Nice charm to try and stop him, but this Skarner can kind of do no wrong at this point in time. Everywhere is where he belongs on this map. And that is not something that Skarner often says. He normally misses his kind and stuff like that. Feels a bit lonely. Not this time around. As the Cloud Drake has spawned, that's something they can go over to collect. And here is the Baron.
T1 like to do Baron on spawn in a deficit. And with a 8,000 gold lead in this game, They're kind of like, do we end the game or do we kill the Baron, as they just have full map control right now. Guma still has his Edge of Night. A Q attempt there from Boulevard to try to pick that one off will not be successful. As they push the mid lane, Owner starts up this dragon alone. Guma will help him take it, and then they can go straight towards the top side of the map with Keриa's reset here to start clearing up that Baron vision. The top inhibitor gives them that extra pressure for Doran in that top side to continue to make sure that part of the map stays T1 vision controlled. That extra prio is going to help them get into the pit. There's some vision there for MCOY right now, but it's just a matter of time as Keria comes over here with double control wards to clear it out.
Yep. Should be able to do so pretty comfortably here as Owner walking over wards, but this is the thing. If he face checks, what does MCOY do about it? They take the 15 years it costs to kill him. It's just really, really difficult because he can just kind of go wherever he would like.
I mean, JoJo's just sitting on the side. Maybe this time he'll join. Maybe he can find a flank angle. They didn't clear all the vision. They didn't clear all the wards. Maybe there's an angle, but T1 are just giving them no quarter in this game. There's that TP.
All right, here's the angle. They get the flash out of Gumayusi. That is a big deal. And he is still very, very low. Not a lot of lifesteal available here for the Varus either. So a big opportunity now for MCOY. The problem is the rest of T1 are also really dangerous as Bowen tries to go all out. And Guma is just holding that position. Arcane Storm down onto Jojo Pyun. He's trying to get out. And he is going to be able to do so. It's Doran that leaps across the side. Then goes Golden. Moon dashing around the fight as well. And Doran is still moving forward. The wallets, I feel, are just that little bit too heavy as T1 will be able to once again win out the fight, even though that looked closer than it had any right to be.
It was a heroic last stand from MCOY. They get the charm. They get the follow-up from Alvaro. But this base is now in tatters. Owner goes in.
Nice little charm onto Doran there to be able to take him down. But it is going to cost a whole lot more, and probably the Nexus here for MCOY, as the first seed from Europe will bite the dust, and our title defenders in T1 move to the semifinals.
It was not an easy battle here for T1. It was a lot more hard fought than I think most expected coming into this series. The MCOY